The stars were silent that night. The endless black of space stretched in every direction, dotted only by distant suns, small and cold. On the edge of the Karathi Empire, a small human ship floated quietly, its lights blinking softly. Inside, the hum of life was gentle. Children laughed and played, unaware of the danger that was coming. They were not soldiers, not explorers. They were just children, human children, with bright eyes and curious minds discovering the stars in their small, fragile way. The Karathi patrol had been searching for months. Their massive ships cut through space like knives, enormous and cold. When the sensors finally picked up the human craft, the commander's claws twitched in satisfaction. To him, humans were nothing more than a curiosity, weak and unpredictable. And yet he felt a thrill of power. He would capture them, show the Empire's strength, and prove that even the humans could bow to Karathi law. The children's laughter echoed through the human ship as they ran in the small corridors. They played games with words the Karathi could not understand. Names of stars, silly songs, and little dances in zero gravity. They did not know fear, not yet. Their parents watched nervously, trying to teach them about caution, about the dangers of the universe, but even adults sometimes smiled, because the children's joy was impossible to resist. They were innocent, they were human, and they were about to become the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The Karathi ships appeared suddenly, like shadows falling across the stars, massive silhouettes, black and shining, blocking the light of distant suns. The humans barely had time to react. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and then the boarding ships descended, silent and deadly. Karathi soldiers, taller than humans, with armor shining like dark metal, stormed through the hull. The children screamed, the parents shouted. Panic filled the tiny ship. One Karathi officer moved quickly, snapping chains and restraints into place. The children were scooped up, wrapped in containment suits, and lifted like fragile creatures. The parents tried to resist, but the soldiers were strong, and every struggle only made the Karathi harsher. The human parents' hearts broke with each child taken, each cry echoing in the empty corridors. Mothers wept openly. Fathers roared with anger. And the Karathi commander watched unmoved, his eyes cold, believing he had done the right thing. The human ship was now empty, silent, except for the sobs and cries from the holding cells. The children looked around, terrified, clinging to one another. They did not understand what had happened. One small girl whispered in trembling tones, "Mom, Dad, where are you?" The parents could not answer. They were separated, thrown into different cells. The children's tears fell freely. The small, fragile humans who had once laughed at the stars now only cried at the cruelty of the universe. And yet, in the darkness, something stirred. A quiet flame of determination. The children may have been small. The humans may have been few, but their spirits did not break. Even in fear, even in the grasp of alien hands, their hearts beat with the stubborn defiance of their species. Somewhere deep inside, a small spark glowed. They would survive. Somehow they would survive. The Karathi commander did not notice it. He did not see the courage forming in the eyes of the humans. He believed he had won. He believed he had proven the superiority of his race. But he did not know the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were not just another species to be controlled. Humans fought for family. Humans fought for home. And humans fought for their children. The Karathi ship sped away with its precious cargo, thinking the galaxy safe and quiet once more. But the galaxy had already changed. Something had been awakened in those small human hearts, something fierce, unyielding, and unstoppable. And the stars, as they always do, began to whisper a warning that no one could ignore. Do not underestimate humanity. The news of the human children's capture spread like wildfire through the galaxies. Ships carried messages faster than light, and every major species of the Council received the report. At first there was disbelief. Children, humans? Surely it must be a mistake. No one could believe the Karathi had actually taken them. But the images arrived. Small, terrified humans locked in metallic cells, their eyes wide with fear, their hands pressed against clear containment walls. Even from a distance, their cries could almost be heard through the screens. Silence fell in the council chambers. Every representative stared at the images, unsure how to respond. An old Shivar ambassador was the first to break the silence. His claws hit the council table with a sharp sound that echoed through the chamber. You have done what? He demanded, his voice trembling with fury and fear. You have taken their children? The Karathi general, tall and rigid in his black armor, looked down on him. He smirked, his eyes cold. They are insignificant. Humans are weak. They will obey our rules as all primitive species must. The Shivar's claws scraped the table. Insignificant? You do not understand what you have done. Humans are small, yes, but you've taken something sacred. You've awakened a force you cannot imagine. Murmurs rose among the other council members. The Lurans, delicate and thin-skinned, whispered urgently to one another. The Virk, a species of sharp teeth and quick claws, shifted nervously. Everyone knew stories about humans. They had fought wars with no technology, survived against impossible odds, and thrived in environments that would have destroyed other species. But no one truly understood the human's deepest strength until now. The Shivar continued, his voice low but fierce. When humans fight for survival, they are clever. When they fight for pride, they are relentless. But when they fight for their children... He paused, and the council felt a chill as though the air itself had grown heavy. They become unstoppable. You will see devastation unlike anything in this galaxy. The Karathi general laughed, sharp and cruel. You speak as if they are gods. They are flesh and bone, no different from any other species. You exaggerate their importance. No one laughed. No one smiled. The council members exchanged anxious glances. Even the younger species, who had grown up hearing stories of humans as mere primitive creatures, felt the weight of the Shivar's warning. A Luran elder, trembling, spoke up. We have seen the signs before. Humans do not surrender lightly. They do not forgive easily. And when their families, their children, are threatened... His voice cracked. There is no limit to what they will do. The Karathi sneered. So what? They have no fleets. They have no empires. They are children and small adults. They will beg for mercy soon enough. The Shivar shook his head. You do not see. They will not beg. They will fight. Every human alive, every human who has ever existed carries this fire. They will not stop. You think this is about power? No, this is about love. This is about family. And love, Karathi, cannot be defeated. Silence fell again. Even the Karathi general paused, feeling an uncomfortable stir of doubt. He had always believed in his species' strength, their authority, their control over others. But there was something different about humans, something he could not measure or command. The council sessions ended that day with no decision, only unease. Rumors began to spread among the members' homeworlds. Do not underestimate humans. Do not take their children. Their wrath is unimaginable. And far away in the cold darkness of space, the human children waited. They were scared. They were small, but their spirits had not broken. Somewhere in the universe, their laughter and cries were already starting to ripple outward, unnoticed by most, but not by those who would soon pay the price for underestimating humanity. The stars themselves seemed to hold a breath, as though the galaxy sensed what was coming. Something was stirring in the hearts of humans, something that no Karathi ship, no empire could stop once it was unleashed. The warning voices were growing louder. Across distant systems, the news of the human children spread, carried by messages and whispers, urgent and trembling. Some called it a scandal. Others called it a crime against the universe itself. And yet the Karathi ignored the warning. They believed humans were weak, that the children were helpless, and that their empire was untouchable. In the council chambers, the representatives could not stop talking. A Luran elder spoke, her voice shaking. The humans are small, yes, but you do not understand their hearts. They have survived environments where no other species could live. They have fought wars with nothing but courage, and now their children are taken. The Shivar ambassador leaned forward, his claws gripping the table tightly. Do you hear them, all of you? I have seen the stories of humans. When they fight for territory, they are clever. When they fight for survival, they are relentless. But when they fight for love, for family, for their children, they are something else, something the universe has never faced. Other species in the council shivered at his words. Even the normally fearless Virk, who had once laughed at the idea of humans, were silent. Their teeth, usually sharp and ready, clicked nervously. No one had ever seen the Shivar so serious. He was not exaggerating. He was warning them, and fear shone clearly in his eyes. A small, delicate ambassador from a distant planet whispered, We thought humans were just simple creatures, small, fragile, manageable. But now I see. We were wrong. Terribly wrong. The Karathi general seated high above the chamber sneered again. They are children. They are nothing. Their species is primitive, and they have no fleets that can challenge ours. You speak of warnings as if they matter. You do not understand, hissed the Shivar. Humans do not measure strength in fleets. They measure strength in courage, in will, in the fire inside them, and the fire that burns for children cannot be stopped. You will see it, Karathi, and when you do it will be too late. The Karathi laughed. But in the laughter, there was a slight hesitation, almost imperceptible. He had faced rebellions before. He had crushed uprisings across the stars. Yet there was something in the Shivar's warning, something primal and undeniable. Humans, fighting for their young. It was not a battle he could plan for. It was a storm he had not counted on. Meanwhile, messages reached the outer worlds. Traders whispered about the bravery of humans, their stubbornness, and their refusal to bow even under the weight of the Karathi Empire. Scientists spoke of humans' adaptability, their strange determination to survive impossible conditions, and everywhere one thought began to spread quietly, unbidden. Do not take their children. Back on the Karathi ship, the human children were huddled together in the cold metal cells. Their eyes were wide with fear, their little hands pressed against the walls, but even in that fear a spark remained. One small boy, no older than 8, clenched his tiny fists. He whispered to the girl beside him, "We will not stay here forever. They will come for us. They have to." The children did not understand how or why, but they could feel the same truth that the council feared. Humans never abandoned family. Humans never gave up. And humans, even the smallest, even the youngest, carried a fire that could not be put out. The Shivar ambassador left the council chambers that day, his mind heavy. He knew the Karathi would not listen, but he also knew that the universe had changed. Something unstoppable had begun. The humans' hearts had already started to burn, and the echoes of their courage would soon reach every corner of space. And somewhere in the distance, hidden behind patrol ships and silent stars, the first human fleets began to prepare, not as conquerors, not as soldiers, but as parents, as guardians. As humans, the Karathi could not see it. They did not hear it, but the warning was already moving through the cosmos. Do not underestimate humanity. Far across the galaxy, in the quiet corners of human space, the news reached Earth first. The stolen children, human children captured by the Karathi. For a moment, disbelief gripped the governments, the scientists, the ordinary people. Impossible, they whispered. No enemy is so cruel, but the evidence was clear. Images of terrified children, separated from their parents, locked in alien metal cages, streamed across communication channels. Mothers cried openly. Fathers clenched their fists in helpless rage. Even those who had never seen a battlefield felt a fire ignite in their hearts. Something deep, older than fear, older than pride, awakened. No human leaves a child behind. In secret bunkers, war councils gathered. Not just military leaders, but engineers, scientists, parents, teachers, anyone who could help rescue the children. Plans were drawn and redrawn, fleets were readied, weapons designed with astonishing speed. Factories worked around the clock, building ships and machines the galaxy had never seen. And it was not just preparation, it was purpose. Every human being from the smallest village to the largest city felt the same pull. Bring them home. Streets were quiet at night, but every human knew the same truth. This was no ordinary mission. This was a rescue. And a human rescue never failed. Meanwhile, the Council of Species watched in awe and fear. Reports arrived of sudden quiet in human space. Scientists stopped their usual arguments. Diplomats put aside minor disputes. Governments who had long argued about resources and borders now worked as one. Every human mind turned to a single goal: the children. The Karathi, confident and arrogant, continued their patrols, unaware of what was coming. They believed the humans would beg, or negotiate, or collapse under fear. But humans do not beg when their children are in danger. They do not negotiate when family is at stake. They prepare, they fight, and they endure. On a distant human colony, a small girl pressed her forehead against the metal of her cell. She could feel the hum of the ship beneath her. She could hear nothing beyond the cries of other children. But somewhere in the void she imagined voices calling for her. Brave voices shouting in unison, "We are coming! She did not know how. She did not know when. But hope filled her chest anyway. Hope burned, and in her tiny heart the fire grew. On Earth, thousands of parents who had never known each other prayed, planned, and worked together. Engineers calculated new trajectories. Pilots trained tirelessly. Children who were safe learned about the stars, about courage, about the hearts of those who risked everything for family. And the galaxy waited, silent, watchful, unsure of what it had unleashed. The Council of Species whispered among themselves, "Humans are awakening. They are not ordinary. They are unlike any enemy we have faced." For the Karathi, there was no warning they could hear. Their arrogance blinded them. Their pride told them humans would not rise fast enough to matter. They did not see the hidden factories, the secret fleets, the hearts and minds of a species united by love and courage. They did not see the human spirit taking shape in silence, forming like a storm behind the horizon. And the children waited. Huddled together in the cold metal cages, they closed their eyes and imagined the faces of their parents. They did not yet know the strength of their people, the fire burning across human worlds, but somehow they felt it. They felt the hope and the anger, the determination and the courage that would soon arrive to free them. The stars above seemed to hold their breath. Something was coming, not a battle for power, not a fight for territory, but a rescue mission led by the most dangerous force in the galaxy, humanity itself. And somewhere deep in the Karathi Empire, a small shiver of doubt began to creep into the mind of their commanders. Something had awakened, something the galaxy had underestimated, something unstoppable. Humanity was coming. The Karathi believed the humans were weak. They believed the stolen children were safe, and that their empire's strength was unshakable. They were wrong. At the edge of Karathi space, human warships appeared suddenly. Not one or two, but dozens glinting under distant suns, engines burning bright. They were larger than anyone thought humans could make in so little time. Their shapes were unfamiliar, sleek and deadly, yet strangely beautiful. The Karathi patrols detected them too late. By the time the alarms blared, it was already too late. In the first moments, the humans did not speak of conquest. They spoke only one message across all communication channels, clear and unwavering: "Return our children." The Karathi laughed at first, thinking it a bluff. Children, who cared? But when the human ships moved in formation, precise and fast, destroying patrols that had once seemed invincible, doubt crept into their commanders' minds. The battle lasted 23 minutes. 23 minutes of fire, metal, and desperation. Karathi ships, built to dominate entire systems, burned and exploded in the void. The humans moved with precision, striking only where needed, targeting the cages, the prisons, the places where their young were kept. Each attack was carefully calculated. No unnecessary destruction. Just the children. Inside one human ship, a young captain stood at the controls, hands steady, eyes focused. "We are not here to destroy," she said quietly to her crew. "We are here to bring them home. Everyone." Her voice carried the weight of the entire species, the courage of generations and the love of parents everywhere. The Karathi were stunned. They had faced rebellions, uprisings, even alliances of multiple species. But humans fighting for children? That was something they had not prepared for. Every ship destroyed, every prison broken sent shockwaves through the empire. Panic spread in their command centers. Orders came too late. Ships fell before reinforcements could arrive. Back on the human side, the children watched the first explosions from their cages. Fear was still there, sharp and raw. But now hope began to bloom. The hum of human engines, the quiet chatter of voices across channels told them one truth. They were not abandoned. They were coming. Humanity was coming. Across the galaxy, other species who had doubted humans now whispered nervously. "They fight with nothing but purpose," a Luran elder said. "They do not need fleets like ours. Their hearts are weapons." The humans moved like a storm across Karathi space. Planets that had once trembled under the Karathi flag now saw humans landing in precise, coordinated strikes. Prison ships were boarded. Guards overwhelmed. And everywhere, children were found, freed, and lifted into strong human arms. The parents, where they could be found, were reunited. Tears flowed freely, but not just for fear. Tears of relief, pride, and unshakable human spirit filled the corridors. And the Karathi watched in disbelief. Their empire, so long unchallenged, was being undone by the force of love. by the determination of a species that would not tolerate harm to its young. Commanders argued, generals shouted, but the humans moved faster, stronger, more determined. The message was clear. Do not take human children. Ever. By the end of the first strike, dozens of children were free. Karathi ships lay destroyed, their pride shattered. And across human space, fleets paused only to prepare for the next move. Humanity was not done. They would not rest until every child was safe. Every prison broken. Every act of cruelty punished. And somewhere, deep in the galaxy, the stars seemed to hum with a warning. A simple, undeniable truth that echoed in every heart: underestimate humans at your own peril. The Karathi believed they could endure. They thought the humans' first strike was only a warning, a small fluke that would fade with time. They were wrong. Human fleets moved faster than any Karathi commander could predict. Every prison, every ship, every hidden cage was located, attacked, and liberated with precision. There was no hesitation, no mercy, but also no needless destruction. The humans fought with one goal: to free every child. And the Karathi, for all their experience, could not keep up. In one command center, the Karathi High Council gathered, pale metal walls reflecting the chaos outside. Reports flooded in. Fleets destroyed, prisons broken, guards overwhelmed. Panic replaced pride. Commanders shouted, but no orders were followed. The humans were everywhere, moving faster than any communication could manage. Fear was creeping into even the most confident officers. On a distant planet, the first group of freed children ran into the arms of their parents. Mothers screamed, fathers cried, and children laughed through tears. The sound echoed through the settlement, a mix of relief, joy, and unshakable human spirit. In those moments, the humans who had feared they were powerless felt the strength of their people. They realized something true and eternal. When humans fight for family, no force can resist them. Every Karathi prison that fell sent tremors across the empire. Ships once thought invincible now lay in ruin. Bases meant to intimidate were abandoned. Colonies surrendered without a fight, not because of fear alone, but because every species watching understood the truth. Humans would not stop. Humans would not negotiate. Humans would not compromise when their children were involved. In one prison ship, a small girl clung to her brother, whispering softly. They will come, they promised. Outside, a fleet of human ships appeared, engines roaring like thunder across the vacuum of space. The children did not know names of captains or fleets, but they felt the presence of their people. They felt the courage, the anger, and the love that had traveled across the stars to reach them. The Karathi scrambled, but it was too late. Human boarding parties stormed every cell. Guards surrendered, fought, or fled, and everywhere the children were lifted into strong human arms, held close, whispered to, and protected. Parents and soldiers alike fought together, unstoppable, unified by a single goal. By the time the last Karathi prison ship fell, the Empire's foundations were broken. Their fleets scattered, their pride destroyed, their command crumbled, and the humans did not celebrate. They were too busy gathering their young, comforting them, and returning them home. Victory was not in conquest. Victory was in love. In the quiet after the chaos, the Shivar ambassador, watching from a distant world, finally spoke to the council. His voice was calm but fierce. Let this be remembered. You may threaten humans. You may attack their homes. You may even challenge their species. But never under any circumstances take their children. For in that moment you do not face soldiers. You face all of humanity. Across the stars, whispers spread. Tales of human courage, human resilience, human love. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. The humans had not only survived, they had triumphed. They had reminded every species, every empire, and every council that power was not measured in weapons alone, but in heart, spirit, and unwavering will. And in the quiet corners of space, where the Karathi once ruled with fear, a new truth shone brighter than any star. Humanity could not be ignored. Humanity could not be tamed. Humanity would always rise when it mattered most. The children were safe. The humans had come for them, and they had not failed. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter that day, as if honoring the courage of a species that refused to bow, refused to yield, and refused to abandon their own. Humanity had spoken. Humanity had won. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever. The Karathi Empire was no more. Their fleets lay in ruin, their prisons empty, and their command shattered. What had once seemed eternal, unchallenged, and unstoppable had crumbled under a force they had never understood. The love and courage of humans fighting for their children. Across human space, celebrations were quiet but profound. There were no parades of conquest, no banners of victory. Humans returned to their children, holding them close, comforting them, whispering words of safety and love. Every hug, every tear, every whispered promise carried the truth of their species. No one harms a human child without awakening the fury of humanity itself. The Shivar ambassador spoke again to the Council of Species, his voice carrying the weight of history. "Remember this day," he said, his claws tapping the table. "You may threaten a human's pride. You may invade their worlds. You may challenge their strength. But never, never take their children. For in that moment you do not face soldiers, fleets, or weapons. You face the collective spirit of a species that will not be denied." Every species in the council listened, silent and awed. Some had doubted humans before, laughing at their small ships and primitive weapons. Others had dismissed them as fragile, unorganized, and weak. But the galaxy had seen the truth now. Humans were not just survivors. They were unstoppable when driven by love. They were fierce. They were clever. They were relentless. On a small human vessel, a mother held her daughter, brushing the girl's hair from her face. The child looked up with wide eyes, still trembling from fear, still uncertain of the vastness of space. The mother smiled gently. "We're home now. We're safe, and we will always come for you." The little girl hugged her mother tightly, feeling the warmth, the safety, and the unwavering strength of her people. Somewhere deep in her heart, she understood a truth she would carry forever. Humans fight for each other, and when they do, nothing in the universe can stop them. Across the galaxy, whispers of human bravery spread like wildfire. Species who had once feared or ignored humans now told stories of their courage, their speed, their precision, and their unshakable spirit. Planets that had stood against humans reconsidered their alliances. Entire fleets reevaluated their strategies. Every corner of the stars now knew one lesson, clear and undeniable. Humans are a force unlike any other. Even the remnants of the Karathi High Command could not deny it. Their empire had fallen not because of superior weapons, not because of cunning strategy, but because they had underestimated something the universe had always ignored: the depth of a human heart. Humans did not fight for glory or conquest. Humans fought for love, for family, for the smallest and most vulnerable among them. And in the aftermath, as the Karathi fleets scattered into distant systems, the humans did not pursue them. They had not come for revenge. They had come for their children. That mission completed, they returned home, their hearts still burning with the quiet fire that had carried them through the darkness. The galaxy had changed. Empires who had once scoffed at humans now respected them. Species who had once laughed at their small ships now told their young about the courage of humans. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the bravery and strength of a species that refused to bow, refused to surrender, and refused to abandon their own. And far above it all, the children, now safe, looked out at the stars. They did not fully understand what had happened, but they felt it in every heartbeat. Humans would rise. Humans would protect. Humans would never be underestimated again. The Shivar ambassador's words echoed in the galaxy. A warning, a prophecy, a truth. Do not take a human child, for in that moment you face all of humanity. And in every corner of the universe, that truth was remembered, whispered, and never forgotten. Humanity had risen. Humanity had fought. Humanity had won. And the stars themselves seemed to hum with the promise of what humans could achieve, when driven by love and courage, a promise the galaxy would never ignore again.